Can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court. And now here I am, back at the Old Bailey. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Good morning, Professor Harebrayne. I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure in here is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I feel it every time I'm here. That gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But you were telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Ah, yes. Well, you won't let me down, will you, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm counting on you in today's trial to save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yes, I understand. I know what I have to do. I have to establish that the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. My commiserations, Mr. Naruhodo. You appear to have been lumbered with a most tiresome case here. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect to see you here. That was very mean, Runo, leaving me alone at home with Hurley. Took me at least an hour to wake him. Is it? Are you? Sherlock Sholmes? Indeed, sir. I am he. Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, I've heard all about your exploits, even whilst living in Germany. Ah, yes. Grant's magazine is on sale in Germany, too. This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in The Adventure of the Silver Blaze was wonderful. Ah, yes. A memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall. No. That was the speckled band. That was the one Cosma died. Well, thank you for coming. I do appreciate your support. Sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow, but I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh. I have urgent business at Madame Tuspel's. You mean your waxwork job? No. The waxwork abduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services. Ah, so trying to get the bottom of that ransom note, are you? The week's wages depend on it. As does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give it my undivided attention. Oh, well, never mind then. I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. For until I solve the case, I shall have no money to afford a pie of any description. Oh, then you must absolutely give it to your full attention, Hurley. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know. Whenever I give something my full attention, I have a quite insatiable desire for pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. Oh yes, quite, definitely, absolutely. I totally understand. Is someone a little starstruck? I wish you the very best of luck, Professor Harebrayne. Well, thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? As you have remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as this super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation such as was attempted by the professor at the great exhibition is quite impossible. But the professor said the demonstration was a success. Yes, it would appear that he fervently believes it was. I need to buy something before it closes. Again, you're good, bro. I'll inform you when you get back. I've read Professor Bunnybrain's paper about it too, Runo, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It can barely be done theoretically, let alone practically. So he's completely barking up the wrong tree? How can an experiment like that have no possibility of succeeding and in fact succeed? That's contradictory. And it's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I've no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. I bid you adieu. Well, it looks like you're on your own today, Runo. But chin up. You can do it. Oh, what about you, Iris? Oh, no, I'm afraid I can't help. I have something I need to do. I see. It's going to be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. That sounds ominous. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way into the courtroom at once. We're on our way. Will Sean be on the jury? No. No way. No, he's going to go do that thing at Madame Tussauds. An experiment that the laws of science say can't possibly succeed. And a scientist who's convinced that it did. That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are sitting here today for the public trial of Professor Albert Harebrayne. I now call upon the counsel for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. Prosecution is ready. The defense is ready, my lord. In 6 months out of practice, and what's more. Aww. I'm without Susato-san today. Ugh. Is it just my imagination, or does the air in here feel even more oppressive than usual? So, I must say, I recollect the victim of this case all too well, Mr. Odie Asman. Mr. Asman is well known as a financier, though that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities. It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court prosecuted by you, Lord Van Zykes. The jury unanimously found him not guilty, because every member of the jury had been bribed, by the sound of it. Not gonna lie, I think we need to discuss Jiro. How so? Ass man? Ass man, bro. Oh, he's still here. Uh-oh. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go to extreme lengths to keep their freedom. But 2 days ago, on 21st of October, Mr. Asman met his end. Work of the Reaper, was it? If that is how your lordship would describe divine retribution, well, the fact that remains Mr. Asman's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrayne. Very well, then. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at random to represent the will of the people. I think I pissed him off. Hey, that's your fight, not mine. Are the 60 ready to fulfill your societal duty? Oh, wow. Who let G into here, bro? I'm most gratified to have been selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord. Oh! Oh, they gave her booba, bro. To have a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine. Science experiments, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials, all are nothing more than performances. Any spurious scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang. Oh, wow. Oh. What is that? You have to listen to what's said on both sides, defense, and, then settle on one? That's it, isn't it? It's the motherfucker that was asleep! Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. That's the police killer Otter Mole look-alike. Again. And he's as exhausted as ever, it seems. Another fatty. I don't know if I like this jury, I'm not gonna lie. Now, as I'm sure you are all aware, the incident we're here to judge today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its opening. don't like it at all. Though the death toll could have been far worse, with the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of the science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the specters. Tragic turn of events, and as such, the eye of all London, no, of the whole world, will be on this trial. It is our duty to reach a swift and just conclusion, I feel. So, your opening statement, please, Lord Van Zykes. At the heart of this incident is technology never before demonstrated anywhere in the world. One of science's latest developments, I take it? The government is keen to capitalize on the Great Exhibition to improve Britain's technological advantage. The technology being demonstrated by the accused was described as super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. Good lord! It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extremely high voltage electricity and beam them instantly to another location where they are subsequently reassembled. Is such a thing even within the realm of possibility? Well, I don't believe it. That's for sure. Disassembling people with electricity? My goodness, how shocking. Huh, the whole idea is absurd. Hypothesis would never stand up to scrutiny. Sir, I believe you are a fellow of the Royal Society, are you not? An expert in your field? I am. In my world, the matter could be considered final. Instantaneous kinesis is poppycock. So this expert and Mr. Sholmes are in agreement. It's impossible. Hi, Jojo. Hi, hello. How are you? Excuse me, I was eating. How are you? What is the prosecution's view on the matter? Prosecution would assert that the accused's instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success. What? What rot? The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. It is deemed to have merit. A substantial research grant would be made available. The accused made use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Asmund's life, in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant. But this disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim. Thank you, Lord Van Zykes. The prosecution's stance is clear. But you will now bring forth the witnesses to substantiate your claims. Gladly, my lord. Bailiff, show the first witnesses to the stand. This could be Gina and Gregson, isn't it? Oh, it's just Gregson. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the following investigation. Albert Harebrayne, scientist. You were born in England, but I've been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back. I had to demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. Well, you demonstrated what's incredible, alright, an incredible explosion. But the science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have. They must have done. Yes, there was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Well, that match is undeniable, as shown in the photograph taken by the forensic investigation team. Looks like he was shot more than anything. The photo was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it? The centerpiece of the exhibition, no less. I was gonna say, if the motherfucker exploded, it wouldn't be a body. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim rammed straight into it. I see. Very well. Submit the photograph as evidence. As the courts heard, the victim of the incident was Mr. Odie Asman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being, it was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. So to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct? Exactly. Well, couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right! That must be it! My splendid machine! My poor splendid machine! You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't even examine the records thanks to the special dispensation for the Scientific Equipment Act. The wreckage? The wreckage? With that being the case, how can the facts be established? How can it possibly determine whether this was an accident or deliberate and a malicious act? Extremely simple, my lord. I beg your pardon? Isn't that right, witness? Sorry, me? No, your neighbor. Yes, sir, it was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state with complete certainty. What? How could you possibly think that? Thank you, Inspector. I think we had better proceed to formal testimony. You will explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for murder. The corpse that went crashing through the Crystal Tower had a broken neck. I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake. The post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere. And this fella's the only one who could have done it. Extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart? Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. The coroner says death would have been all but instant from a wound like that. Could say, in fact, the victim was killed twice by the accused. No, no, and no. That couldn't be further from the truth. I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. Victim stood himself inside something called the bird cage, ready to be beamed instantly. To the second level of the Crystal Tower about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. The blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in midair, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the Crystal Tower, a large round window. Hi, Sue. Is Sholmes dead yet? Yeah, bro, he died. Word. My word. One assumes that the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower then? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident. A terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. Murder weapon? What are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. Prosecution would like it entered into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel. I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance. This looks like some sort of crossbow. What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. I think it's probably used for the same thing, too. Straight up crossbow. Looks like layers of thick canvas with a thick rubber lining of sorts. Never seen anything like it before. But applying Mr. Strome's methods, you might deduce it was part of a raincoat worn by someone who really didn't want to get wet. The charring must have occurred when the person was struck by lightning. Or maybe not. So he was shot with a crossbow. Hemorrhage of a wound to the chest that pierced the heart, inflicted by a sharp implement. A broken vertebrae, most likely resulting in impact after a sudden fall from considerable height. And the only one person on the stage was Mr. Asman, was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist. Then really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well, counsel for the defense. Proceed with the cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. I need to focus here. Been a while. Are you suggesting that's because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly. Which highlights something else about this whole rum business. What's that? The fact that instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. Ah. After the explosion, the cage with the felon inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere in midair. Although the experiment ended in disaster, the so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur. Remind us, Professor. What was the cause of the fatal disaster? Hold it! So the angle of the projection is critical, is it? And you calculated yourself, personally? Absolutely. Calculations is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out. Only you got it wrong, didn't you? Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation is so complicated, even I can make a mistake. People fall for that brazen confidence. I should try it. I took into account the subject's height and weight, the wind direction, the ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, then, you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Asman was wearing at the time, I suppose? Ah. Crackling comments. The answer should have been 3! So much for safety first. 3 must be for safety third. Hold it! Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make any sense. I didn't think I had to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds Doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it? 2 right. Obviously, at first, we thought the bloke had died due to his spine snapping in half as well. But you're saying that's not the case? You'll get your answer once I've finished my fish and chips if you don't keep butting in every few seconds. We all know that's a bottomless bag. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. There would be reason to assume that as the cause of death. Right, that's all we thought. But it was a red herring, wasn't it?
Hold it!
The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. This was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere. Thanks. So what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused's tools that were in use of the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Ah, yes. That would appear to be some kind of screwdriver, wouldn't it, Counselor? Oh, wow. There, he is. My trusty little companion, Andrew. Andrew? Of course. Ah, do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. I've named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Choo! Andrew's my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead. Well, it would appear that your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank. Ah, that isn't... It's blood. Beyond all reasonable doubt. No, and that's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. The court will enter this friend of the defendant as evidence. Fantastic. So one of the Professor Harebrayne's tools is a murder weapon? Great. I've seen this unusual shape handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor in the kinesis machine. Could be important information, so I should definitely make note of it. This is blood, and Mr. Asmus, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at the murder weapons. Excuse me, hold on.
Hold it!
What grounds do you have for saying that? Huh, you really need to ask? There were only 2 people on that public experimentation stage in front of the whole crowd. The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, and the accused, Professor Harebrayne. Who dies? Some criminal that we don't know a whole lot about. And we know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw him with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion in kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could possibly have done it.
Excuse me.
Professor Harebrayne, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor! Ah, sorry. I was just calculating the optimal coefficient of electrolysis to separate molecules in the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that? You seem as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last mark. Ah! Oh, wow. Yes, that's right. Of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, man? I don't know, but there's no way I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Asman, as you say. Eh? Explain, please, Professor. Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins. I had heard. But surely you see, if I had plunged something the size of Andrew in the man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood swimming pool. Ah. But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. And yet, not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood. Well, no, I suppose not. You see? Not one. True, I didn't say anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. W Professor, bro. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hollow chalice to accompany my old friend's adducing. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Baroque. But I'm really not a patch on you. No, you're not. No? You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have? A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Ah, of course! Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? Very well. You will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. He was beamed through the air. That is cap, because it was found.
Objection!
It was found on the stage. You say that while the weapon remains on the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Look, there was no blood on the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Yes, but about the screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, now you come to mention it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contravened the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Eh? No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. I was very clear he wasn't to touch a thing. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it should have been. Should it? It shouldn't have been, should it? What are you getting at? If this tool had been still in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine, then it shouldn't have been still on the stage. Ah. That's right. It should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Asman. And been found still lodged in the victim's chest. How do you explain this, Inspector? I don't. Looks as though everything that the victim had on the person moved with him when he was beamed. The screwdriver was still at his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred. Obviously, that should have been beamed to the destination as well. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, The prosecution's unable to explain this inconsistency in its an argument. You only conclude that testimony given in the support cannot be replied upon. Replied upon. Lord Van Zykes is stumped.
Hold it!
Who the hell yelled hold it, bruh? Do you have something to say, witness? Yes, I knew it. It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruhodo, don't worry. About what? Without delving into details, there is no inconsistency. What? Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Asbert's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have been moved. Andrew remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. What? Why is he... What? Why would you say that? Fucking moron, bro. It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation. Just what I found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists. Very well. The defendant will testify again. Provide us with a scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold. In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. I would just let him. I'd let him get found guilty after this, bro. Like, what the fuck? To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states that kinesis cannot transport metal, though. Hence, the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Aswin was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Now I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. So, the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. And therefore, Professor Albert Harebrayne could still have been the killer. A great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make the cage used to contain the special subject from wood for that very reason. I was not addressing you, witness. Professor Harebrayne? Yes? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist, after all. Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Napon's friend. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. Is this motherfucker stupid, bro? This motherfucker's stupid.
Hold it!
Your hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven then? No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. It is widely known that metals cannot be decomposed by I don't know how to pronounce that. Yes, of course, so I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? It's the whole reason that the birdcage is made of wood, you see. Sorry, the birdcage? Yes, it's what I call a C. obtusa cage, which Mr. Asby was placed in for the kinesis. Out of the jail cell, the victim was detained. Does indeed seem to be made of timber of some sort. I think you not to refer to it as instrument of incarceration, your lordship. In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage if it was made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it. Yes. It all perfectly fits with the mathematical model. But the ultimate conclusion then, The defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict the fatal injury on the victim, is it not? Ah! Ah, indeed, sir. Someone beam me out of this nightmare. Has to be his glasses, right? Gotta be his glasses.
Objection!
Professor Harebrayne, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made, is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on, exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Asman is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal? No, metal can't. That's not metal. We've already established that the proposed murder weapon with the screwdriver was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis correctly predicted that outcome, it should have also predicted that the metal rimmed spectacles would be found in the same place. Professor Harebrayne, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed. I hate nerds. He tried to incriminate himself! Fucking bitch. Counsel, what is this? What is the implication of this? If on the day in question, this alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. In that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. But my hypothesis is sound. I proved it all that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all my work. If I could say something here, in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society. Yes, juror number 4? Go ahead. As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. That's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait, great Scott! Are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's just been disproved, hasn't it, in front of all of us? In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. I say the records of that machine should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What the devil is that blasted act all about, eh? Who made up such a daft rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor?
Objection!
Professor Harebrayne has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes? But even so what? Going to such trouble at expense to create a fake machine to display in public. He would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
Uh-oh. He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money. Ah. The government was foolish enough to have deemed the man's ridiculous notion plausible. He and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators? What would be the value of such a grant? 10 pounds? You're an order of magnitude out, madam. 500 pounds a year. Could have lived handsome on that much for a year. Society's not. Wow. Wow. The society's noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently. And plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest sum of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you. No, I haven't deceived anyone. Least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound. The science is sound. Please, you must believe me.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Ah, Barack. And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed the murder is the accused. Ah, Barack. Where is this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may? Yes, Lord Van Zykes? The prosecution would like to summon a new witness to the stand. New witnesses? What will be the nature of their involvement? They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition, who were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses? Very well. The court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from the eyewitnesses to the incident. Prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no post. I don't know what that says. The accused killed the financier victim there on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my lord friend. Oh, yes? It's time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does that leave me? Shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare its new witness to take the stand. As you wish, my lord. Good. In that case, the court is adjourned for 20 minutes. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. To be continued. That was a fast one. Mr. Naruhodo? What on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis, my amazing hypothesis. You've been picking holes in it from the start. Ah, sorry about that. But you promised me. You said you proved that dratted explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone else's hands. But all you've done so far is trying to undermine me. Yes, I didn't make you a promise, you're right. I said that I believe in you, and you fight for your freedom to the very end. I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? Ah, but if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is, nevertheless. A man died as a consequence, didn't he? Oh. Oh, yeah. Come on, guy. You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster, not just as a scientist, but as a human being. Well, that might be a little over the top. And why we're on the subject. What about Barack? He's being awful. Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer. You mean? He's a disaster, not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait. He's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore. Glad that's cleared up. Can I double check something with you? Ah, yes? What? The machine and the demonstration you prepared, they were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume. There was no trickery involved? I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with the firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet. But please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it. Alright, Professor. I understand. Counsel, defendant. Prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. The court is about to be in session again. Make your way into the courtroom, please. It all hinges on that demonstration. The professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims. It leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. But on the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was adamant. Practical implementation, such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition, is quite impossible. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? Prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. The Lord Van Zanks. Oh, excuse me. I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes. Indeed, they did. As luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we are about to hear can be considered highly reliable. It's going to be Gina. Perfect, a detective of all people. It's going to be Gina. Prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. Consequently, so a person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused. Thank you, counsel. Prosecution's position is clear. So, bring forth your witnesses now. Bailiff, show the witnesses in. The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. Oh, there's Gina. I was gonna say, Gina, I think Gina's in here somewhere, bro. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court to hear. My name is Balthazar Loon. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in the vicinity of the Esperimento stage. Oh, I am not saying that, Gots. I've come... Yeah, you can go fuck yourself, little buddy. I'm very rich. Inspector Gina Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective. Even Herlock Sholmes agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition. I got to go up on one of them balloons. It was amazing. Gina? Again? But she did mention that she'd seen the disaster from up in a balloon, actually, didn't she? She clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw the events unfold from the skies above. Make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet, very low. You can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet, about 18 meters then. Thank you for your introductions. Now, you will give a formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage. Relaxing. Oh, Gina's an inspector now. I forgot. Yeah. I'm doing good, man. Can't complain, bro. It was an incident, terrible. I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. There's this huge bang from the stage, and then the next second, another bang in the sky beside us. And from amid the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower. I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed to the tower. A most extraordinary collective account, I must say. Could I just clarify something? There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I've not heard anyone any mention of until now. Specifically, that there were 2 explosions? More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places. Yes. When the demonstration began, The balloon carrying the two witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Gina reminds me why white women are great. You agree, Shines. You're not crazy about Gina, and for what, bro? Is that Razzie, bro? Razzie looking. I don't know, Julius. You see this shit, Gorilla? Then, as powers were supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called birdcage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, a second explosion occurred, directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witness. The birdcage appeared at the site of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down into the Crystal Tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes. There was a person inside. The blast was so hot, but I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. I still have lots of money. Okay. Precisely, who is this curious infant? I'm told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently, he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the Great Exhibition. Yes, I am here in London on a sightseeing trip with my elementary school. We will have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Do we really need that? I actually kind of look like Gina, bro. When I remove my mask, this is what I look like. Ah, yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure. Yes, everybody says so. Great disguise, then. The point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely, that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the Crystal Tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused who was with Mr. Asman on the stage could possibly have committed the murder. Yes, thank you, counsel. Prosecution's view on the matter are quite clear. So, the defense's cross-examination now, please. Yes, my lord. Oh, shit, excuse me.
Hold it!
So you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air? Oops. Yep. Ain't it amazing what a detective gets to do, huh? I'm telling you, Otto, being a lawyer is a mug's game. You should join the force and we can go flying together. You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway, could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think? Everything. We saw everything because we were up above it all. That dodgy cove climbing into the cage and that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it appeared. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage disappeared. Just like that. You were describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by electricity, I believe. I didn't know what to make of it. But then there was another bang right in my ear. I looked around, there was a huge, great fireball right next to us in the sky. And there was nothing there before.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Master Gotts, does your memory of the day differ? My teacher in elementary school said that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use your full name. Yes, what was it again? Yeah, you can go fuck yourself, you little shit. just the four names, then? The point is, do you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gina Lestrade's last remark, perhaps? Oi, get it right, Otto. It's Inspector Lestrade. Why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment? That is not how I saw. Oh? Yeah, there was a second explosion and it was right beside our balloon. That is true. But I'm sure. Which is what I said, ain't it? 1 minute there was nothing, then there was a massive explosion. My teacher at elementary school said when someone was speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable. Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? This balloon guy's rich as hell. Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky. Green balloon? Hey, you what? I never saw nothing like that. Yeah, well, I did. I saw it, and you can't say I didn't. I will complain to the council. I will cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. Can I say it's a lie? That is not allowed. Playing the bleeding royalty card, are ya? Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police. In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony. In the interest of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia.
Hold it!
A green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that? Of course I am sure. I am proud Bohemian Prince. All the questions are making me boring. I think you mean bored. Ah, English is very annoying. The language of my country is far superior. Ragazzo, it is very wrong to lie. Lie? Flying balloons never explode. For the same reason the planets never exploded. It is logical. Please tell me that doesn't mean logical. If you insult me, you insult all Bohemia. Mud-eye. I'll have the army come and shoot all your stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them. What is happening, bro? Here you are, Your Highness. If only all international incidents were so easily resolved. Now that peaceful relations have been restored here in the courtroom, perhaps we could return to the testimony? Did you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Loon? No, I did not see the explosion myself, however.
Hold it!
Did you see that actually happened? No. In reality, I did not. I saw it after it hit the tower. There was a grand confusion around the stage. I ran to see what happened. I was terrorized by the idea that one of my balloons had crashed. I suppose they are his livelihood. When I looked up to the sky, all my precious balloons were still there. I saw it, though. I saw it slam into the tower. After all, I'm a detective now. Then tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade. That's what I like to hear.
Hold it!
Was it you who gave the order to keep people away? Use your head, Otto. How could it have been me? I was up with the balloon, weren't I? Right. So because I weren't available, it was the boss who had to leg it over there. He was getting shoved and kicked all over the place by the panicking spectators as he tried to seal off the scene. It's a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing. Poor Inspector Gregson. So anyway, I couldn't see the cage that well because of all the smoke. I didn't really want to see, to be honest. I was scared out of me wits. Keep it together, Inspector. Prosecution really is asserting that the demonstration was genuine. What if it was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? That would mean that the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. 2 explosions would have thrown everyone watching into a panic for sure. I think I need to find out more about what exactly people saw at the time. I'm back. I'll try to catch on. We're pretty much trying to see if the instantaneous kinesis was actually a thing, or it was like a trick of some sort. And all these guys were up in the balloon. Same with Gina. Liar!
Objection!
Your balloons were damaged! Liar! Mr. Loon, in your testimony, you said that all 3 of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that is correct. If they'd been caught in the explosions, it would have been terrible. I wonder if you might know what this is. I think it may be... See, part of a balloon, a burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope. Sorry, the envelope? Pardon. That is the large round part of the balloon which becomes filled with hot air. It's made from a very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want to rip it when you are in the sky. Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Master Gotts testified, the green balloon did indeed explode that day. Eh? If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence. Oh, not all the balloons! The balloon exploded that day. Why didn't the man say so? Maybe everyone on board was killed. Oh no, having just spent 10 whole pounds for the experiments, how awful. Seems to me like those things crash 50% of the time anyway.
Objection!
The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage, the point of the materialism shifted to a location occupied by a balloon. Causing the balloon to explode? Yes, eminently plausible. An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were, but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts. I cannot accept it. Why not, Mr. Loon? Fellow Gina enjoyer. You are suggesting that I am a liar. That person's died in a balloon incident. There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Loon. The victim was the sole fatality that day. That's right, and I prove it. Balthazar Loon is not a liar. There was no such a balloon in the sky. It is not possible. You're saying it's impossible? Why? This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day.
Objection!
But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, the defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon. I concur. There's clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give a supplementary testimony about the balloons you are operating at the exhibition. Gracias, my lord. Mr. Loon's balloons. As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All three of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe. I mean, you can't get away from the fact that a burnt-up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can you? Coppers at the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. This stupid ragazzo is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyways. So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not the one belonging to you? See, exactamente. If he saw a balloon in the first place, I do not like the sound of it. It's very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight back. It will be war. All out war. Huh. What happened to all out war? Mr. Loon certainly doesn't appear to be lying. But that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here. The defense is unable to find fault with the witness's statements. The court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend. Let's not call us a Nepons anymore, bro. The situation has clearly changed now. Let's get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witnesses. Couldn't have just forgotten one, maybe. Might not notice if I was given 100 lentils and one was missing. But we're talking about 3 enormous balloons. Do you believe I can make a mistake about something so grand and expensive? I took the liberty of having Inspector Gregson check the gentleman's warehouse. I have the report here. It clearly says a total of 3 balloons. It would appear no mistake has been made then. Surely Miss Lestrade could have been sent for such a menial task. What? B? I'll tell you why I told the boss. East End kids like me can only count up to 2. Obviously, that ain't true. But the boss bought it and said he'd have to go himself to that case.
Hold it!
It would be quite a catastrophe if they fell to the ground for any reason, I think. On that note, Mr. Loon, tell me, what is it that keeps these balloons in the sky? Are you an idiot? Sorry? That's like asking, why does a candle burn bright? It burns bright because it burns bright. And a balloon flies because it flies. What else? Huh. That must be Italian for I don't know. There are 2 types of flying balloons. Hot air balloons and gas balloons. Hot air balloons work on the principle of hot air being less dense than cold air. Whereas gas balloons derive their lift by using a gas that is lighter than air. See, and my balloons are filled with the magic gas, I believe. Hydrogen, lighter than air, but highly explosive. Good lord! I do not permit smoking of the cigarettes in any of my balloons. The magic gas is not like fire. Even a small spark of static electricity could cause the entire balloon to explode. What's the matter with you? All that comes out of your mouth is explosion, explosion. I tell you, my balloons are perfectly safe. They have to be, or I cannot eat. None of my balloons exploded that day, I'm completely sure. But if you still say that is what happened, you must show me the proof. Alright, so Mr. Loon had 3 balloons in the air that day. None of them were damaged. And what was the one that exploded? Here, there's only 2. In this, there's only 2.
Hold it!
I was surprised to find the piece of fabric still at the scene, actually. Didn't you search the area surrounding the stage for clues? Nah, I'm not into picking stuff up off the ground, me. Always works out way better. Diving into people's pockets instead. So much for the new career path. Mind you, the boss was on his hands and knees picking up all kinds of rubbish from the floor. Thing is, though, the cage went crashing into the crystal tower, didn't it? So that's where most of the investigation was going on. Even so, I would have thought someone from Scotland Yard would have gathered it up as evidence. Or listen to you. You stumble across a bit of balloon and you're suddenly the best investigator in the world. Pardon? But you ain't got a badge, have you? Like this one. Could arrest you with this if I wanted to. I wouldn't put it past her. Come to think of it, there was talk of some scorching on the ground at a meeting we had about the investigation. There was considerable damage to the stage and surrounding area, wasn't there? Yeah, some of the coves were what were watching the experiment were caught in the blast and injured. Good old contraption didn't keel over, eh? I hadn't even considered that. It seems there was a great panic after the incident occurred. Nevertheless, the police shouldn't have missed a thorn piece of the envelope from a balloon. Inspector Gregson can expect repercussions. Like me swiping all his fish and chips, eh? The man's sole pleasure. None of this matters. That scrap of balloon envelope means nothing. Nyet. Nyet.
Hold it!
You mean the color is wrong? See, I do not have green balloons in my warehouse. And yet, a piece of a green cloth was found at the scene. And it's unmistakably from a balloon. Well, I do not know how that can be. For the sake of argument, let's say that a green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question? Why not? There have been recreational balloons flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree. You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the exhibition? See, exactamente, as this senor says, it's not from one of my balloons. Clearly this little ragazzo from Bohemia is mistakenly about... Oh!
Excuse me.
He's pissed. Is something wrong, Master Gotts? It's Master... Oh, God. Yeah, I'm not reading all that. It was on the tip of my tongue. Something is very wrong. I know what I saw. I saw a green balloon there. I swear it. I swear all of Bohemia. You can speak as much bad language as you like, but it changes nothing. We do not have evidence, Ragazzo. They must tell your parents to punish you, eh? Perhaps we'll let the judge decide when it comes to punishments. Evidence? What is this evidence? Give a simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance. Some tangible proof of what you claim. Why did you say that sooner? I have the photograph here. Good gracious. What? I had not been up on a balloon for a little while, so I was very excited. I took lots and lots of photographs of the Crystal Towers, the Bohemian exhibit, of the streets of London, as a hot eels cellar is a balloon. And an instantaneous kinesis experiment? Did you take a picture of that? Oh, one picture. Really? You did take one? Well, all I wanted was a ride on the balloon. I was not interested in boring experiments. Never mind that. Can you show us that photograph? Of course. And then you will see. You will see that I'm not lying. I really did see a green balloon. It's in black and white. Come on, bro. I like how they are fighting and arguing suddenly. By the way, I want to buy another one of your balloons. Okay, here you go, sir. Well, I see you're all too shocked to speak. Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man. It's in black and white. Perhaps you cannot see that is a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault. This is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera. Uh-oh. That is one very bohemian sounding cry. Very well. The court will accept this photograph as evidence. It's not my fault. It's the fault of the person who made the camera. Well, never mind. I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful sepia memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph? Well, it was on the day of the big explosion. You don't say. When I pressed the shutter release, there was a very loud bang. And a hot wind rushed over my face. That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred. Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I cannot give the flying fig. Lovely language you've picked up. And as I thought, Mr. Loon's testimony just doesn't quite add up. The young Bohemian boy claims to have seen another fourth balloon. Okay. You gotta show him that. There's no zigzag.
Objection!
Unfortunately, the photograph Master Gotts took tells us the color of the balloon. But it can tell us something else, something crucially important. What? It shows that the pictured balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Ah, my goodness, you're right. Surely all the balloons there would have been carrying passengers. There would be no sense in it otherwise. See, they are for pleasure. For seeing the view, my balloons only fly with passengers. Which tells us that the pictured balloon isn't one of them. So when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage. The mysterious green balloon. You finally did it. What do you mean finally? Yo, Gorilla, you want another 10 minutes, bro? If this balloon was not carrying passengers, then it was not one of mine.
Objection!
There are illegal tradesmen everywhere. You care to look? Yeah, Google is. Thanks, Gorilla. Clearly, one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing. See, the competition trying to steal my profits. I did not notice because one of the whatever, bro. This fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment Mr. Asman was beamed from the stage below. Right. So them scraps that fell to the ground after and left them scorch marks, they didn't come from the stage at all. It was bits of the balloon raining down. Because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. A mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers, silently floating over the experimentation stage.
Objection!
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue trader. Clearly has nothing to do with the case. Show me proof then. Its relevance does elude me, I must say. This court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. Prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded. Really? Haven't really got the truth yet? No. I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up, and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there nothing more we can learn from it? There's more.
Objection!
There's definitely more. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait. Please don't give your decisions yet. This photograph from Master Gotz may be well hiding one more vital clue. What's that? Oh wow, a vital clue.
Objection!
We're well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitives now, so tell the court. What exactly does the alleged clue in the photograph prove? Cause of the explosion. We reasonably assume that the picture balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion. That's right. It was not my fault. Evidently. Because the birdcage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon being filled with flammable hydrogen instantly and explosively ignited.
Objection!
No, that's not what happened. What? It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination. Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of this alleged clue in the photograph for the court. Oh boy. Oh boy. Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see. And what's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have. In a way, that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. A clue that heavily suggests the real reason the balloon exploded is... this thing. I was looking at this thing. Oh, was this shot by the crossbow down there?
Take that!
Take that! The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you'll notice there's a bright white line that appeared to point directly at the balloon. Most likely a ray of light caught incidentally on the film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort. If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is. Goodness, what is that? Undeniably, some flash of light, yes. Oh golly. Do you think it might be lightning? But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe we may be looking at fire. A bolt of fire heading straight for the balloon. Like an arrow. Like an arrow. A bolt of fire. A fire arrow. Indeed, even to my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon?
Objection!
Okay, make it stop. Make what stop, bro? What happened this time? That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly have reached such a height.
Objection!
As he's going on a cereal rant. You're on your own, bro. Actually, it's my opinion that a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what did happen. What evidence? Such evidence exists, Counsel. For goodness sakes, present it, man! What evidence explains this mysterious streak of flame that appears to be headed directly for the balloon?
Take that!
Take that! This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene. Good lord, is that a crossbow? An arrow dipped in oil instead of light could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon. Are you suggesting that a crossbow was used to deliberately... Blimey, you're right. That streak of lightning in the photo looks just like an arrow, doesn't it? Then the explosion of the balloon, it was... very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow, igniting the hydrogen gas inside of it. Counsel, this is an extraordinary supposition. If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question. The noise of the discharge, of course. Right, that's right. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently. Well, yeah, if someone had shot a gun off on the exhibition grounds, it would have caused a real panic. But with the big explosion, there was a very big panic anyway, no? I don't like this. I should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong. Uh-oh.
Objection!
You understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nippons friend? If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded. And if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued... What? Wait a minute. What are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage beamed up into the sky after all? Or what? My goodness me! Ah, now I understand. That's what that sticky feeling's about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along. What? Did I just hear that correctly, Counsel? There's no going back now. The horse has bolted. Oh, wow. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage and the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. At that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. I think you'll all agree it's entirely plausible. That's what I've just described as the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day. Good grief! Goodness gracious!
Objection!
This is ludicrous. What you've described is no science experiment. It's child's play. A contemptible display of stage magic. Both Mr. Sholmes and Iris said that the experiment was a scientific impossibility. In which case, it's the only way to explain what happened that day. And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the crystal tower. The instantaneous kinesis didn't take place. How do you explain that? Ah, This is the stolen. Fuck. This is the stolen wax work, whatever the fuck it's called. If I may put in a word, as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception. Juror number 3? All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Asman. And having this other man appear on stage to the front show is a body double. Ah, yes, of course. So in fact, Mr. Asman must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
Objection!
That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything inside it would have been scattered to 4 winds when it exploded. No one would have ever embarked on such a risky venture. Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend upon the mixture ratio. Juror number 4? I like this jury, bro. Look at them go. Flying balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered. The mixture ratio? Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns that would have been unavoidable. But not to such extent as to render this whole obscene charade impossible. Ooh, okay, jury. So everything that happened can be explained, logically and scientifically. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all an elaborate deception to make it appear that instantaneous kinesis had occurred. Well, goodness me. And if we accept that this is what happened, it means the victim, Mr. Asman, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant who was on stage in full view the entire time. This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Zeiss can't credibly maintain that Professor Harebrayne is a suspect now. Oh, for fuck's sake, it's him, isn't it? He's very wrong. I fucking knew it. Oh my god, I hate this guy, bro. Jiro, you missed it, bro. This guy's trying to get himself caught, bro. I hate this guy. Alright, hold on. I gotta piss real quick. Like, really fast. I'll be right back. I hate this guy, bro. Why'd I take this job, bro? This guy's so fucking annoying. Professor? Well, you can stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please. Sorry? What's all this about, Mr. Harebrayne? I, Albert Harebrayne, hereby confess that it was me who stabbed Mr. Odie Asman. What? Yes, it was me, with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver. What are you doing? Defendant, explain the son confession.
Objection!
Professor Harebrayne, what are you talking about? It's what I've said all along. You know why he's doing this? It's because what I'm doing is proving that his scientific shit is all wrong, and he would rather go to jail than for his hypothesis to be wrong. And I hate him for that. I hate you. Oh my god, bro. Bro would rather go to jail for murder than his hypothesis be wrong. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine. You stand there and claim it was all a trick, an elaborate prank, but where's your proof? No, you'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it would be all over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the identity of it. It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you were duped, Professor. If you'll just let me, I can prove... Baroque. Yes? I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say. I swear it. So please, ensure the special dispensation for scientific equipment is adhered to and protect my creation. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollow chalice at this critical juncture. Here's my learned Napon's friend. What? In his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in the light of the accused's confession. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, the special dispensation for this Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machine involved in order to establish the truth. However, do you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder? Any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved. Well, counsel, what is the defense's official position on this matter? Ah, shit. Now we're getting you out, buddy. Fuck your shit, bro. Your shit's a hunk of crap. Hunk of crap, bro. Well, Professor Harebrayne, my client, actually asked me was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis. But there's no way to do that without implying the professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence? Or do I uphold my client's request but see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust. You've been silent long enough. Isn't talking your trade, my learned friend? Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Napon's mind? Mr. Naruhodo. There's no escaping here. I have to make a choice. But it's an impossible one. I have to give up on something. But what? The defense asserts that the defendant's instantaneous kinesis machine was in fact a proper scientific invention. Also, it's probably that the jurors are there for a reason. No, I can't say it. My client places faith in me. I can't just let him down. What I must give up on is not the question you have to ask yourself here. It's what can I protect? Hello again, Mr. Naruhodo. It's been far too long. Susato-san? Is that actually her? Is that her in the flesh? Oh yeah! Wow. Is she actually here, bro? Oh my god, it's actually her. My first Susato's takedown is 6 months. It'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, we must concentrate on the task at hand. Which is working out now what I have to give up on, but what can I protect? Professor Harebrayne. Ah, yes? Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too. Yes, of course. And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Asmund. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind that is what we must both pursue now. So, you finally open your eyes. What? As for you, Albert, can't ignore this any longer. Ah. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say? Barack. Lord Van Zykes? Gosh, I've never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there is one thing. Something I've remembered that's of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man? Holding that crossbow. I beg your pardon? So it is Sir Sato, she's back! Woo! Woo! Professor, did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Tall, taller than me, and thinner than me, with straight hair, straighter and whiter than mine. Let me see. One less lens than me too. A monocle, rather stylish black monocle. What? One thing in particular will help positively identify that man, you see. I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention. What? He built the machine? That's right. Mr. Asman introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. Enoch Drebber? Does the name mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered. Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. That man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either. Conjurer, my bad. Who on earth is he? I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of his nature that I've heard in scientific circles in connection with that name. There's talk of other flamboyant experiments that turn out to be nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, the rascal is after the government's research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I've heard of them restoring to these underhand tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experiences of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician, yes. We're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you. So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, it was just a grand illusion. Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely. Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe that machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted. Which is why you were so opposed to it being investigated, I presume. I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen. But at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, than a work of deception, and everything I'd worked towards, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. I was terrified at the prospect. So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built? And the true nature of Mr. Drebber? I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it. It's entirely possible that Mr. Asman and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money. When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. Pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. But I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. Don't know anything anymore. Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? Yes. Please go ahead. I'm very sorry. It would appear that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Zykes. My lord? The court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical. Yes, Mr. Drebber. Gather information about the man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena. With pleasure, my lord. Now, counsel for the defense. Yes, my lord? When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he presently stands accused. I understand. Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. Let's go! Susano's back! The Old Bailey. Is it possible not to like this judge? No, literally. I do like this judge. Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, yes? I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry. You really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean? About what he was really constructing? Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it. Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands. So we must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow. Well, thank you for doing so much for me. Fucking asshole. Susano! I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. Arriving late? Did you receive my postcard? I want to let you know when I arrive. Postcard? What postcard? I hid it from you, Bruno, so it'd be a surprise. Ooh, Iris, I should beat the shit out of you. Well, did it work? I was surprised, alright, especially when she threw me to the ground. Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that sort of slipped out. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in future. Susie's train was late into London, Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself. Well, I'm glad you didn't. Oh, having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm delighted to see you back in London. Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotama not protest? Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful. I can't wait. Sada-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. Ah, here we go, bro. To be continued, bro.